Meghan Markle's new podcast has been savaged as a yawn on social media, with users claiming they've heard it all before. Several social media users were not impressed by Meghan's new release, which began by rehashing a childhood story in which she wrote to a soap company whose TV ad had offended Markle as a child. Following an interview on the kids' channel Nickelodeon, the ad was changed from Women Fighting Greece to People Fighting Greece. However, social media users were quick to point out that this wasn't the first time they'd heard this anecdote. One Twitter user said she wanted to turn the podcast off after 20 seconds once they heard the story yet again. Red3008 said, "So, Meghan's podcast landed. I can't have an opinion unless I listen, so I took a deep breath and went for it. Oh my god. I was ready to turn off after 20 seconds when I heard the yawn, so bad story yet again, and could take no more after 1 minute 21 seconds. Others agreed with the sentiment. One Twitter user, Natalie B666, said she couldn't stomach listening to the podcast. She said, "Tried to listen but just couldn't stomach her voice with the fake giggles pretending they are best friends. It's rubbish. I even fast forwarded it to see if it got any better, but no, it didn't." Others were harsher in their criticism of the podcast. Something and Nothing, HCQYKHC6GP said, "Close down a blackboard might be more interesting and less painful." The Duchess began the programme slamming the soap ad from Procter & Gamble, a corporation her and Prince Harry's charity, the Archwell Foundation, has now teamed up with to focus on gender equality. The 1990s ad said that women are fighting greasy pans. Writing for The Times, James Marriott said Meghan's podcast was almost entirely preposterous. He wrote, "The podcast is a tastefully soundtracked parade of banalities, absurdities, and self-aggrandizing Californian platitudes. The effect of all the tinkly music and vapid conversation is to make you feel you've been locked in the relaxation room of a wellness spa with an unusually self-involved yoga instructor." Even those sympathetic to Meghan's plight, and I had once thought I might be one of those people, will find that the full hour of an episode of Archetypes will put them in the mood of Paul Dacre composing an unusually grumpy Daily Mail front page. Speaking of the negative press coverage she's received, Meghan tells Williams, "When you see things that mischaracterize me, you feel that pain." Williams agrees that she does feel Meghan's pain, but she's too self-aware to prove an entirely compliant guest. When the Duchess tells Williams how fearless she is, Williams jovially objects that's actually she's not that fearless as she is scared of the sea. This is not quite the tone of humorless adultery gushing Archetypes demands, and the subject has rapidly changed. The listener's overwhelming sense is of futility and irritation. It's been 2 years since Meghan and Harry signed an $18 million deal with the streaming platform Spotify. This is only the second episode they've produced for it. Their previous effort was a slightly less grating waffle about the power of connection. The executives at Spotify must be wondering whether they have spent their money entirely wisely. It's hard to believe that it took 28 people, including 8 executive producers, to make the episode. Plus, Meghan herself, who is also listed as an executive producer in the credits. Sussex fans, apparently there are still plenty, shouldn't get too excited about the new series. If the couple's last Spotify podcast is anything to go by, this is all they're going to get.